back no punches and f5, bishop h3. I think that black has to play. Well, you don't have to, but queen d7 would be the way that I would protect the pawn. You can of course take on f5, but that seems to play into Alvarez's hands.
Yeah, I agree with you. Radoslav will take his time now. Let's update Anish Giri's position. Well, where Anish is thinking, but Vishy said that, yeah, that's a very difficult position. You just have to wait and see. We left after queen d1, bishop e7, rook e1, and rook f6 was played. So indeed, the plan with a5, rooks cf8, but unfortunately for black, rook f3 is not a big threat. Queen a4, queen c8, rook e3, protecting the f3 knight, just to avoid any kind of sacrifices. Bishop d8, c4, and rook f4. This is the current position. Can black play something like rook c1, white play rook c1, c5?
That looks like an idea for sure, and one that you want to go for. Looks reasonable. I'm wondering though, with rook f4, what exactly is the plan? Is there some kind of attack or sacrifice? Like, why rook f4? Is he going to go g5 and g4? So he wanted the rook out of the way of the bishop's path. Like, is that something that is possible? Because Vishy was talking about in his experience playing the white side of his line, and he played against Anish, is that his knight was on d3, so f2 was defended. Now with a rook on f8 and a rook on f4, if that knight has to move out of the way, then I can win your f2 pawn. So I'm starting to wonder if there is some kind of g5 push that David has to watch out for.
Yeah, I see the evaluation bar. I don't know how precise it is, but it doesn't like Anish's rook f4. However, I do think that practically it's very interesting move, because if white plays rook c1 or c5 and black is in time to protect the e5 pawn, then d5 might be a response on c5, as rook is on f4 and the pawn on e4 is pinned.
Actually, rook c1, there could be d5 immediately for black because there are pins everywhere.
Oh, oh yeah! Wow, that's very complex. So d5, if e takes d5, rook is on f4, and the pawn on e4 this pawn, rook takes or knight takes, then
actually rook
c1,
c1, there could be d5 immediately for black because there are pins everywhere. I like the look of that, right? Rook takes f3 could be played because white doesn't have many pieces protecting the king, and
very complex.
you can even just
yeah,
take
it
the
might
pawn
get
on
very
c4.
bad. If e takes
Yeah,
rook is
it's
on
very risky
and
for
the pawn on
white to play in this manner
this
because you don't have
rook
pieces
takes
in front of your king.
knight
So if
takes,
an
then
attack comes,
actually
rook c1, there could be d5 immediately for black because there are pins everywhere.
Rook c1
I
might
like
not
the
be
look of that, right?
good
Rook
move.
takes
Oh,
f3
yeah.
could be played
Wow,
because
that's
white doesn't have many pieces
d5
protecting the
is
king,
threat, very complex.
and you can even just
So
take
it
the
might
pawn
get
on
very
c4.
bad. If e takes
Yeah,
f5, rook is
it's
on
very risky
f4,
for
why not? That is why
white to play in this manner because you don't have pieces
takes
in front of your king. So if an attack comes, rook
actually
c1, there could be d5 immediately for black because I'm wondering pins everywhere is the
rook
idea.
c1
I
might
like the
not.
look of that. That's where I'm
yeah.
now
Wow,
drawing my
that's,
attention. White doesn't have many pieces. We want to protect the king, that knight,
very
and if you
complex.
play g5,
Yeah, it might get very bad.
that knight has to go, and it's very risky to go from white to play as much as it could because we don't have powerful pieces in front of your king. So if an attack comes, rook c1, there could be d5 immediately.
And look what happened in Jordan van Verheest's game. c4, knight b5 is on the board, ladies and gentlemen. Everything according to the engine. Jordan is getting closer and closer to a win.
And I know that Peter Dawkins is getting that headline ready that I mentioned earlier. Jordan is just playing marvelous chess. And Vishy, while we had him on for the interview, he was talking about how impressed he's been by Jordan, who is a very exciting player who takes many risks. But then Vishy made a good point that he's lost 0 games. So he's not taking risk perhaps in a way he used to, where they would could backfire and then he would lose games. No, he's taking calculated risks where the downside perhaps is not that big. And look at this position. His rooks in a perfect
Impressive.
spot on the queen side. They're behind past pawns. That's where rooks should be when you have pawns marching up the board. So for Niels, I'm already thinking, do I have to play bishop takes b5? That's one of the first moves I would consider because I see those pawns rushing fast. But then you could, after bishop takes b5, you just take back with the queen, and you still have to deal with this a pawn. So you're only up 1 pawn is black, but the quality of the pawns is favorable for white thanks to this runner on a5.
Wow, this is amazing. Niels is in big trouble already, down to 34 minutes, while Jordan has 1 hour 30 minutes on his clock, and we are eight.
Have to focus on their own games, but these things cannot be ignored. You're in the same playing hall. You take a walk. What else are you going to do when you take a walk? You're going to look at the other
Yeah.
games. And
Yes.
when you start seeing